I knew for sure that I was gonna die a drug addict, and I had no desire to continue living.
For Jordan Wilson, the long slide to hopelessness was one that no one saw coming. He'd grown up in a Christian home with loving parents. His dad, Roger, remembers how proud he was of his son and his faith.
He wasn't an undercover Christian, Everybody knew where he stood.
I would go home tired from the day, but I had to get my time with Jesus.
Jordan was well-liked at school and church, and that drew the attention of girls. At 16, he began dating a 19-year-old.
Instead of, going to church, I would stay at my girlfriend's house.
By 17, worldly pleasures had replaced his love for God altogether. Marijuana, pain pills, and alcohol quickly consumed him.
I loved the party lifestyle in the beginning. I lived with friends, we threw parties. I thought that I was Superman. I thought that I was invincible.
His father, Roger, noticed a difference in his son and did the only thing he knew to do.
I've prayed for that boy almost every day of his life.
Still, Jordan was spending $100 a day on pills. His addiction demanded it, or suffer withdrawals.
I had to get 20 pills a day. That's what was gonna keep me from being sick. It didn't matter if I could afford it or not, I was gonna get high.
Jordan also became addicted to meth. When he was fired from his factory job, Jordan, with the help of a friend, began manufacturing and selling the drug, Spice.
There didn't really seem to be an option for me at the time. I needed money, I needed drugs. It didn't matter what kind of trouble I may be in, I was gonna do what I had to do.
That is, until an informant tipped off the police about Jordan's dealing.
When I was busted and the police picked me up and threw me on the ground, I was so obliterated from the drugs that I really couldn't grasp just how hot the water that I was in was.
I was at work when I got a call that he'd been arrested. I just remember standing and just feeling absolutely helpless.
Over the next 3 years, Jordan was in jail 10 times and kicked out of rehab 6 times. Both he and his father thought the cycle would never end.
I was just afraid that I was going to get a call some night. Overdosed, killed. Though he was in rehab, he had failed. So I thought, is he going to be another statistic?
I knew for sure that I was going to die a drug addict. I started shooting up. I shot up crystal meth. I was addicted to pills again, and I had no desire to continue living.
So I know what can happen. I know what God says he can do. And I was in that spot praying for a miracle.
Jordan again tried to stop using and began the detox process. Then on Easter Sunday, 2016, Roger had a request for his son.
My dad said, "Jordan, this Sunday is Easter. Will you come to church with me?" I said, "No, Dad, I'm sick. I'm detoxing from drugs. I can't go."
And because it was my birthday, kind of laid the birthday card on him.
I was 27 years old. I didn't have a birthday gift for my dad. So I thought, this is the least I can do. And so I agreed to go to church with my dad for his birthday on Easter Sunday.
During the service, Jordan felt a spark of hope that he hadn't felt for years.
The pastor said, if there's anyone who wants to give their heart to Christ, or maybe you did a long time ago, you want to reconnect with Christ, today's your day. Jordan
Jumped up, just shot down the aisle, down the stairs to the altar.
As I was at that altar, I felt like God was sweeping me off my feet. I realized that, wait, this is Resurrection Sunday. Jesus Christ is risen.
It was absolutely, other than the day I watched him be born, the greatest day was watching him give his heart back to God.
And I've never been the same since. I never drank another drop. I never used another drug since that day. So now I'm closer with the Lord than I've ever been, more so than when I was a teenager. But I walk with him, talk with him every single day. If I don't get that one-on-one time with Jesus every day, I'm just not right.
Jordan says it was God with him that allowed him to finally overcome the addiction that had stolen so much from his life.
This relationship with Christ has taught me to love people, and so he has enabled me to care about people. And I realized that my life is bigger than me. I'm not the lead role in my story, he is. And realizing that it gives me a life truly worth living.
Today, Jordan is married with 2 children and is the author of a new book, Jesus is Greater Than Drugs, the Only War Won by Surrender. He is also the development director of a rehab facility he was once kicked out of.
God's plan was much different. God's plan was, no, you're gonna fall in love with me, you're gonna work in ministry, and you're gonna come back here as an executive staff member. If you surrender to Christ, he'll fight for you, he'll do what you can't do. As someone who tried it without Jesus, that there is a big difference. You may be able to get sober without Christ, but you'll never be free without Christ. And Christ is what sets people free.